So the stuff that I liked was I liked that, and you very much do this a lot of times where we instantly jump into a scene. You don't really spend a whole lot of time like you did a nice bit of, hey, this is what Ghost Rock is. I would shorten that a little bit because I already kind of knew what Ghost Rock was, but I mean I stayed quiet because you're trying to explain it as if I was a new player, and it worked really well. I would modify it a little bit to less of where it sounds like unobtainium, and just leave that open ended. That it doesn't necessarily have to. It's like, hey, this happened in this big quake. This stuff was exposed. Now it's used for X, Y, and Z and has become very valuable. Similar to how gunpowder is valuable. But just like gunpowder, it's dangerous. And then just leave it at that. Like, I don't think you need a whole lot there.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But like I said, the rest of your description I really liked. You gave a good idea of where we were, why we were there, and all of those kind of things. I definitely keep that. I like the your antagonist. She was good. I like the Rough Riders that were showing up at the first of it, trying to take us down. I would have liked maybe a little bit more of a, maybe if I could intimidate them, or if Josh could have intimidated them. Like, I feel like there could be a little bit more role play there. Let's just start shooting. But sometimes that's fun. Sometimes that's what you're there for. And in a one shot and stuff like that. So I mean, you got to make that determination. I don't know. What else? I liked the bartender that was scared. You could feel that. He didn't want people to die. You didn't know why. Josh didn't care why, which was great. And my character was obsessed by different things, so she didn't really care either. Which is what makes it fun. But I like that there was a hook there that we could ignore or we could really go for. And I don't want you to lose that. I don't want you to not have that hook there, because I think it was a good hook. Yeah, I liked a lot of it. I liked where your story's going. I think about the only other thing that I might change is, heck, instead of her walking in there, you could have like her main bodyguard or whatever, and a bunch of the zombies just walk in there, put money on the table, not say anything to anybody, and then just start dragging the bodies out. Because then that's going to lead to a, what the heck is going on here? And that's when the bartenders will be like, I told you not to kill anybody. I told you not to fight. And so now, the players have done, and maybe that's why you want to keep they're going to fight you regardless because of your brown hat, or.
Yeah, they're going to pick something out. That's the whole idea, is the bad guys, the mercenary bandit guys are going to pick out some feature, especially if you have some sort of backstory thing where it's like, oh, I'm a knight of Agamon. They're like, oh, they hate Knights of Agamon.
I was going to say, I think you should just do that. Especially if you're going to play in the Deadlands. I'd be like, look, you guys fought on the losing side of the war, okay? That's why you're out here. That's why you don't really have a lot of money, and it's kind of hard to find because, it's one of those. Inevitably, they're going to see something on you that marks you as, like, you got a pierced ear right here, or whatever.
Brand or something crazy.
Yeah. Maybe they were super evil and gave you a face tattoo, but that's a little cringy for other reasons, so maybe don't do that. I like the brown hat idea, but, make it something where, the war's over, but maybe they still have some insignia or something like that.
Yeah.
Still proud of their... And you could even ask the player, be like, are you proud of, do you still wear insignia from the war? Do you not? And inevitably, you're going to get somebody that says, yes, they are.
Let's go over we talked about this earlier, but you can just rehash it. Is the group combat.
Okay.
And how you run that?
So group combat, I do a little bit differently than one, I don't really do it the way D&D says you're supposed to do it. So D&D 5th edition, you are supposed to roll for initiative, and then based on that roll and whatever your initiative bonus is, that is where you go in the order of combat. This is important for a lot of different reasons. It's how they balance the system, blah, 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 blah. And the reason I say blah, 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 blah is because I don't care. The reason I don't care is because I would much prefer to do either a group roll, and either the bad guys go first or the good guys go, your protagonist, antagonist, and that way you instantly go into a feel of, us versus them. You don't go into it going me versus them. What that allows you also to do is more group play and a little bit of simultaneous, action on the battlefield, less combat happening in a vacuum. Because then usually it's this guy goes, then the next guy goes, then the next guy goes, and the next guy goes. What I try to promote is, okay, it's the bad guys. What are you as a group doing? You're all going at the same time. And some people get a little bit that, you kind of have to, keep an eye on your players, make sure that they understand that, this is just part of how I run things, not necessarily how you run things or anybody else runs things. And this would probably not be appropriate in a place like an Adventurers League or something like that. But at a home table, what I noticed was people will start doing things together and a little bit less on their phone, a little bit less waiting for, their time in the spotlight, so to speak. Because if everybody's in the spotlight at once, then there's going to be that initial scramble, especially if they're not used to it. But then once that cools down, they're going to be like, oh, well, I want to do this. Oh, and then you could do this with that. And you get a lot more, simultaneous action, and it goes a little quicker, in my opinion. You're still going to have, and then if you want to talk about legendary actions, that's even better for the bad guys, because then they can just go, oh, well, I'm going to just wait till you get done with that thing, and then I'm going to sideswipe your entire plan for a moment. But that's how I do. I like group combat way more than one-on-one initiative rolls.
This one was one Josh and I were talking about while you were taking Christy, but it was he had a PC who had a special arrowhead in their inventory, but he didn't want to come out and be like, look in your inventory so you can figure out, you know what I'm saying? He needed him to put it, was it in the hand of a statue or something?
Yeah, it was he just had to use that artifact onto that statue.
Yeah, to get it to work. And he was trying to goad us into get it, but he didn't want to flat out just be like, look in your inventory and look at the special item you have in your inventory. The guy was just not getting it. It's like, how would you prompt a player to look at their equipment? Or would you?
Or first of all, you're assuming that I would, and I'll be honest, I would say probably 9 out of 10 times, I'm not. I'm gonna let them fail. There's gonna be, I don't try to set up bottleneck solutions though. I don't like the A-B solution to get to C. Well, you have to do A and B before you get to C. Well, that's fun, but this is once again, goes back to that. These are players. They're going to do what they want. Sometimes they're not going to remember stuff. And that's okay. But if it makes it harder, or they have to do it a different way, or maybe they have to fancy arrowhead. Maybe they have to go back to that place, and then some sort of tragedy or something else occurs to make that not such a good thing for them. And I'm okay with that. It just doesn't bother me. I don't get upset when I don't get upset when they fall on their faces, kind of. Because that's part of it. People make mistakes, and it's good to remember that there's consequences for those mistakes. And you forgetting something in your inventory, while that is doing, happens, but it doesn't break the immersion, because it's like you don't have a giant voice in the sky or an NPC coming to pull you out. Because I did that kind of stuff. It didn't work well.
Okay, good stuff. This one I feel is it depends type of question. Does party composition matter?
No.
Okay. Why no?
I knew that second part was coming. Party composition doesn't matter, at least in fifth. Actually, I would honestly say it shouldn't matter in any system, because theoretically, if you are playing a game and you are all sitting down to role play and you all want to be like, I want to be a coven of sorcerers or a coven of bards or whatever, it should allow you to do that in a way that's fun for everyone and it doesn't matter what you are. Like, that's where I think that I'm very much pro story, less game. Now, if you are going into a, you know, if you're going into a big dungeon where it's just you're doing dungeon crawl, you're doing hardline rules, you know, you're going by raw, then, you know, it might be a little tougher, especially if they put, oh, hey, you're stuck down in this dungeon until you get to the end of it. There's no way out. Well, then that becomes a little bit different. It becomes a little bit tougher, but maybe that's where you derive the fun. It's like, okay, how's this band of sorcerers or wizards or whatever going to get out of here? Or all barbarians or whatever.
Yeah.
So no, doesn't matter.
I use a term that I say to myself. I'm always looking for opportunities for action. Are your combats always planned, or do you have sometimes where, like, you know what? And it may not be like a combat. It might almost just be like a what am I trying to say? Like a non-lethal fist fight in a bar or something like that. Like, do you look for opportunities for action, or do you usually have your combats kind of planned out of when they're going to happen?
I've been waiting to do this my entire life. Are you ready? You guys are planning? No, I can't plan. If I tried to plan everything, I would just like, I can't do that and still remain fun. I do my best to give myself an outline, and then I do my best to think on my feet, which I'm not great at. So far as what I try to do, it depends on the encounter, of course. You know, campaigns, you always got to plan. You do have to plan a little bit. But if it's something a little more open-ended, like a one-shot or something like that, I just try to have a rough diagram of the bad guy, and then I'm trying to think of the book. There's a book that's, I just forgot the name of it, of course. But it basically insinuates that bad guys at a lot of points, and even when they're just monsters, aren't dumb. If they are, you know, giant, if you have a slime, it's not necessarily going to do unintelligent things. It's not necessarily going to do random things. It's going to have instincts. There's going to be things that it does. It's going to try to, you know, eat the metal to make the liquid to get more blobs. Like, that's, you know, and that's, you don't need a whole lot for that. But so far as, which I think is something you kind of alluded to, which was triggers in combat, I do that sometimes. Where after a certain point, if, you know, the dragon's down to half HP, maybe they've prepared a, you know, get out of jail free card or something like that. Yes, I do those, but that kind of depends. I mean, sometimes the players are quicker on the draw than I am. They're just, you know, better at that.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Does that answer the question?
Yeah, no, you're good.
I know sometimes I get a little far afield.
Okay. This is two more questions and we're done. What, I guess, and this one you may need to take a second to think of, but what is something that you do as a GM that you learned by being a player? Does that make sense? Like something from it. I didn't play games for a long time. I think like in your playing with you was probably my first time playing in like a decade. When I sat down at your table, it was the first time I'd been a player in 10 years.
Oh wow!
So it's like, and I've learned stuff. I'm like, wow, I've learned a lot from being a player again. Because I forgot what it was like.
I think GMing's one of those things where, man, it's hard to get back out from the other side of the screen, and even when you're sitting at somebody's table, it's still hard for some of that stuff. Well, why don't you do that? You know, you kind of want to, because you know what it's like. I think I was trying to think. I've learned a lot of things from being a player. I've learned. That's one of the things where I learned it's okay to let players fall on their face. I've learned that, you know, story and having fun is the most important things, and that everybody does that a little differently. And I probably learned that more from being a player than I did from being a GM. So yeah, I guess probably those two. But I will always encourage people to do both, even if because you're going to hear a lot of excuses. There are no of those excuses anymore. They don't work because you can get on Roll20, you know, Discord. You can find people that share the same mode of fun that you do, and you can play with them. And if they suck, find a new group. Drop them like a hot rock.
This one is kind of like how we did the circle, the green and the red on the character sheet. Did you like that? Do you think that's good as a fast way of, like, instead of have somebody spend 20 minutes on I can't think of the D&D app and try and make a character, like that can bog a start of a game down by 40, 50 minutes sometimes.
Yeah, no, so me and one of my players, I think I found it, I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We found an auto generator for D&D 5e. Loved it. Did everything from the name to the stats. You could select, hey, I want to be a rogue, and then it would fill everything else in, and it's fantastic for just that reason. And the Wizards app does not do as good a job as that. No. Just doesn't. I think it was Orc Pub.
Everything is slow.
It's bad.
Go
it's
faster.
bad.
You just using the book.
I still remember there were people trying to get Wizards to buy his app because it was so much better. It was Orc Pub Builder, I believe that's what it's called. So big shout out to them. They did a really good job. But so far as that, I like the green and red.
I guess I don't know if it's balanced. Is my fear is that there's like an unbalancedness to it.
It's not,
okay.
But it's also the real question is, does it matter? Yeah. And I don't know if it matters or not. Giving advantage on all of those things and disadvantage on others kind of has an interesting aspect to it. It makes it a little different. It's not balanced because, attacks, unless they're, wizardly attacks, are going to be based on either dexterity or strength. And so if you choose dexterity or strength to be in the red, you're always going to be at a disadvantage. And so that's where it comes into now you really have to choose real drawbacks for that. And I kind of like that.
Yeah. Or tell me why you can negate your...
Right. And that's the question is, in a one shot, I don't find that valuable. Now, in a 3+ game, I'd see a tremendous amount of value in that, because now you're overcoming obstacles. You're overcoming things that are, difficult for you personally, for your character personally. And so you have opportunities for growth, which is always fun. I'm a big fan of doing that in game, as much as you can anyway. But one shots is a little bit tougher. I don't know about a one shot doing that.
Okay.
I mean, maybe. I would have to see it to fruition, not just a short little, hey, this is that.
All right, that's it.
Woo!
Oh, I was thinking. One thing I do like, 6 to 12 inches. Sorry. Do I look at you?
No.
No.
I did.
Yes.
Pros, cons. Who's that guy hiding behind the microphone?
Fair enough. One thing I do like is I like that however the story goes, fine. But it was ominous enough and straightforward. There was the ghost minerals, right? Ghost rock. And it's something that we are interested in to look at. It starts simple. Love it. It's not I don't like especially if it was a long session, I'd rather just give me where we're at. We're walking in a bar. We're trying to find this. Perfect. I just want to go from there. Let me figure it out. Don't tell me any more stuff. Otherwise, I'll be like, okay, let's just play. And then I did again, the combat being fast. And I do like the group of one group fights, then the enemy's fights. Love that. And then I like that afterwards there's an ominous... What?
There you go.
Oh, okay. It's a habit to look away when I'm talking.
Make sure you knock out the cord.
Oh, shit. And then I like that to see some powerful enemy that would happen later on, and then see them while you're still low level. I love that stuff. You get to see what's to come. As far as what to work on or anything critiques, I don't know. I really would have liked to release the horses. Felt like I would have finished them off more. I don't know. Other than that, I don't know. For just a one shot that quick, I don't really have any complaints.
Okay.
It-
Micro adventure.
Yeah. I will say this though, as someone that didn't know anything, I know necromancy, but I didn't know don't take a coin from them. Like I wouldn't have known that. So then it's kind of
What if a van pulled up and they said they had candy?
Yeah, I was gonna say that has nothing to do with the necromancer.
This is a common sense.
then no. If you were to, because they gave a coin.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
I think maybe it with no. I was the van pulling up giving people candy before.
Of course you are.
But no, never that. Dang it.
Okay.
Or maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it was a good thing. Because afterwards I was like, damn it, I shouldn't have taken it. But I wouldn't have known.
It was a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember we talked about that.
Yeah.
It pushed the plot along. I wanted you to do exactly what you did. is what
Oh.
I'd say. So you didn't do anything wrong. That's for sure.
Well, then other than that, no. I was generally interested.
Did we end up doing
I think I honestly gave in
Yeah,
and
you
said,
just had us do something else.
it's a golden arrow. Does anyone have anything gold in, like, artifact? You know, what I was thinking, too, is that probably what would be best is to start running the campaign and actually having to use more inventory. Because I realize, like, now... Because that was intentional. It was intentional that they were going to get it, and it wouldn't be for a while till they had to use it. I knew it based off the campaign.
Yeah.
But through the whole part, up until then, you know, they used potions, and that's it. No one was really actively using their inventory or anything special. And I've never thought about that until we've had this discussion today. We're like, hey, it'd be great if they actually had to... Maybe other people are like that, but my campaigns in the games I played before as a player, it's never been what's in your inventory. It's always been what sword do I have to smash it and how much damage it does.
Yeah.
So maybe being more focused on your inventory is better. Because I know I switched when we started that new one from the other campaign that it was Pathfinder, the first edition. The second edition, that's when I cared about their strength and how much weight they have in their inventory. Because I wanted to make sure they couldn't just scoop up all this armor and then have it. I was like, no, now it's going to count. But I really didn't make anything extra, important to look at their inventory. So that's probably what I would do differently then, is make that more of a big deal.
Party composition, does that matter in your games, or do you just kind of work around whatever they decide to do?
I heard it doesn't, but a part of me wants it to. Coming from World of Warcraft and all that, and then being the numbers person, I like stats, and I would like it that it does matter. In the end, it wouldn't matter if I had a group of 5 people and they all wanted to be wizards. Fine, then we're going to make that happen. But it'd be nice if a whole different composition to play with it. But in the end, I think you could work it no matter what. No, I love bards. No, I love bards. I would think no. For a game, no. In the end, no, it wouldn't matter. No matter what, you'd make it work and it'd be fun. Because a whole plethora of a team of bards, it would be fun to play.
What have you learned as a player that's helped you as a dungeon master?
See. I think I've learned more of what not to do, honestly. One, if you rolled a natural 20 on something that you wanted to do, based off a skill, if that would happen in the game, then let it happen. Even if, surely it won't go against a bunch of, the story, like, make it happen. It's just so frustrating to, be a bard and to be high on performance, to roll a high score, like, hey, surely I would attract the attention of this village. Surely, there's nothing that would not happen. I wouldn't think so. And then to say, no, it doesn't happen, kind of like, that's really frustrating. And I'm sure every scenario is different, but I don't know. If you roll a natural 20, that could happen, I would say let it happen. And then I've learned that. I've learned when there's a bunch of people and everyone wants to do something while they're exploring, then let everyone do their thing they wanted to do. Because someone did this, then hold on to it, let these people do their own thing first and then do it. Because really, like, then you don't feel like you contributed. And then it's kind of boring. Like, well, why did I put this character together if I'm not going to be able to do it? Which I get it. If he did something first, then like, okay, then I wouldn't get to do my action. But in the end, like, I built a character. Let me fucking play it.
Yeah, and Jesse does. To be honest, I feel like he's one of the best, and I don't even know how you time it in your brain, but you're great at jumping, like not leaving a group that's like, especially if the group split somewhere. You go, okay, let's jump to that group. Okay, now we're back to these people. Okay, now we're over here with these. Like, he does a great job of hopping around.
Yeah.
Not letting those 2 or 3 people who are in a different location, like, just kind of sit there for an hour, and not do
Yes.
anything.
Yeah.
So,
That's what's happened when you have a group that loves to split the party. That's what you get good at.
yeah.
Sure.
Practice makes perfect. Turns out. How do you get to Carnegie Hall?
I don't know.
Practice.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No. Some other things.
Yeah.
Some other things that I learned not to do. I guess I couldn't stress it enough. Man, if I couldn't stress it enough, is that especially... Oh, yeah. When your player is excited about doing one thing, like they're excited about getting an item that is within their reach, and just to say no, like, come on. Like, it's probably funny the first time, but when they really want that item and they could have it, I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't give it to someone when they're excited to play and they're excited to use it. I don't know why you wouldn't do that.
Yeah, it's like you can't ever stifle excitement because that's
Yeah.
what you strive for. Like as a GM, I feel you always want the table to be invested. And
Yeah.
locked in on stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure there's a lot more I would think of after this, but yeah.
The red circle, green circle that we did on that.
Yes.
Do you like that? How do you feel about that? I always worry that it's going to make a weird imbalance and that you're always going to kind of just try and do the thing that's your green circled.
That's why I love the stats. At least when it comes down to everything, I'd like to have a consistent number to go off of. So I would rather, instead of that, I would rather much be given a sheet of paper already put numbers together. I really don't care about the numbers, but at least I know those are the base numbers and I can go off of it. I would choose that. Because I know then, the next time I play, like, it's the same characters, the same stuff, that if I rolled for this thing, the exact same scenario won't happen in another game. But then, like, no, now I'm not being led to do that. I'm like, oh, man, I was able to before. That's not fair.